As long as I'm getting the stories that I have that I want to tell out, that's enough for me.
I think that's important, man. And as far as what you said, as far as people thinking that is the end all be all, I think they're wrong. And I mean, I say this specifically from uh, having two past guests on, one being Heather Antos, which she was an editor for Marvel for quite some time, and she left. She left of her own accord, and she now works with IDW, uh, doing this, working on their Star Trek franchise, and she's very happy there. So obviously, it's not the end all be all. It's finding where you're happy in that. And then, like if I look at Doug Wagner, um, if they ever let Doug Wagner write Marvel comics, one, I'll fucking read them. Two, it'll be goddamn hilarious. All right, like it will. I want to see anything be as violent as plastic, vinyl, or plush in the Marvel universe. I'll be like, this is awesome. I can't believe they let Doug fucking do this shit. Who the hell approved it? I don't care. I love whoever approved it. Because I mean, you can't tell me like they take Marvel that far. It'd kind of be like I mean, I guess they have in a couple instances, but the only thing I could really think of is Garth Ennis's work on Punisher that went anywhere near the level of the stuff that Wagner is more known for. Um, which is yeah, so I don't think it's an odd balance when you're working with one of those two, from what I understand, because the second you start working in that sandbox, it's not your sandbox anymore. You know what I mean? You're playing with toys that if they tell you you can't do that, hey, you can't do that. You know, there's no. I mean, you might be able to try and talk to them a little, but if the bottom line from them is no, then the bottom line is very much no. Whereas opposed to where when you're working on creator own characters, you can do whatever the hell you want to, because they're yours, and there's nobody gonna look at you and spank you if you know, do something and they say, "Oh, that character wouldn't do that." You can look at them and be like, "No, that's my character, and I'll do whatever the hell I want him to. This is my sandbox." So I think that's something a lot of creators nowadays balance. I'm curious though, in that, what do you think is better to help make the comic book industry thrive?
I mean, the big two, obviously, like, so I've been fortunate to work on two different sides of comics, like creative and also like sales and marketing. And I, for a brief time, while I was also writing for them, I worked for a very small, very flash in the pan, I guess I would say, publisher called Double Take. And when I would go to stores, like I would visit stores and promote the books. Of course, like I had a stake in it because I wrote one of them, but I would go to stores and they'd be like, if you're not Marvel or DC, like we're not interested. I've literally had shops tell me that to my face. So I think,
How long ago was this?
like 2000, like 2012, 2013.
I was thinking in that time frame they would have at least mentioned Image and Dark Horse and a couple other things. That's
I've
pretty.
had shops. I've been to shops in Connecticut. I used to live in Connecticut. I was born and raised in New York, though, where they only sell Marvel and DC, and maybe like their like Image to them was like a Vertigo book, which is like not even. It's a subsidiary of DC. Yeah, I swear to you, I've been to plenty of shops where they were like, Image, like we don't care. And obviously the landscape has changed a little bit, where in the advent of Walking Dead and Invincible and The Boys, like all the landscape has changed. But I think the big two definitely, we need them as independent creators. We do need them because, chances are someone's first comic is going to be a Spider-Man or a Batman or an X-Men. Their first comic may not be a Bardic Versus, but if we get them in the door with a Spider-Man or a Batman or an X-Men, they might see the Bardic Versus on the shelf and go, "Hey, this looks fun. Like, let me buy this." So it's kind of it's a mutually beneficial relationship. I think it could also go the other way. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but when we were talking about conventions, right? Like Artist Alley, I've seen plenty of people walk through Artist Alley and they're like, hey, I want to support this creator because they're working the grind. Let me pick up their book, and maybe that will introduce them into comics in general, and maybe they'll go buy a Spider-Man or an X-Men or whatever. Like, we all kind of need each other, but I do think the backbone of comics, the pillars of comics, are always going to be the Marvel and DC, the big two, for sure.
I really, in my opinion, think the Image has established itself as a pillar in the comic book industry at this point, though.
Sure, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the initial two were certainly Marvel and DC. I would hope no one would argue that. If they did, I'd be like, all right, man, I'm not arguing stupid. And I just walk away.
But think about it like this. I'll frame it like this. A younger reader is likely not going to pick up an Image book over Marvel or DC. Likely. And I don't...
How young are we talking? Because if you're talking like 8 or some shit, they probably shouldn't pick up a lot of fucking Image books.
But that's what I'm saying.
Let's be real honest.
Ideally, like, you want to catch the kids at a reading age and hope they follow it through to, adulthood, where they'll graduate from Marvel and DC to an Image, to an Aftershock, to an AWA Studios, like, to an older line of books, right? So, like, you hope that they'll graduate to those line of books. So ideally, what's getting them in the door, again, is a Marvel or DC. What'll get them to stay is an Image, is a Boom, is, AWA Studios, etc. Like, that'll keep them.
Yeah, please don't start your children at, like, Garth Ennis' Crossed.
Oh, God.
You'll scare the absolute shit out of it. They'll either, one, never read a comic book again because they're like, this is fuck off terrifying, or two, they'll turn into a complete sociopath that someone's going to have to deal with later that's just not going to be good at all, right? It's
really... start them with Spider-Man. Spider-Man's safe.
Yeah, Spider-Man. I mean, I would say Batman's safe, but they done started flinging his wang around not too long.
I still have that number one. I'm saving it.
Really? I'm pretty sure that's worth a chunk of change right now, ain't it?
Probably. I got it, though. I have it in a box, shuffled away for a rainy day.
I have no interest in seeing Batman's Wang. I don't.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't either. It wasn't by choice. It was by force that I was forced to see his Wang.
Wait. Firstly, no, Matt, it wasn't. Because I'm pretty sure it was told that they were going to expose that in that issue, right? Before that issue dropped?
Sure.
Okay. Secondly, you bought the comic. Thirdly, you kept turning the page. No one had a gun to your head.
So hold on. I agree with what you're saying. However, I have 2 counterpoints. Number one, I can't show it, but you can't really see it, but I have a Batman tattoo on my arm.
Yeah.
I am a huge Batman fan. That's number one. Number two, I love Lee Bermejo, his art. I will read anything that he puts out. So I really wasn't like, it was like I had no choice. Like, it was the perfect storm of both his art, being on a Batman book, that I couldn't resist.
I really think obviously they should have resisted because that book got a lot of heat.
But here's the other thing. There is no such thing as bad press, right? It got them a lot of heat, but that got eyes on that book, and people were talking about it for a long time. And like you said, that unedited issue 1 is now worth some money. Sure, is it worth as much as it was back then? Probably not, but it's still worth something. So it's a net positive for them.
That's very true. I hope Marvel doesn't follow suit and like expose Spider-Man's wang.
It'll never happen. They're owned by the mouse, man. The mouse is not letting that happen.
That's true. I never thought of that. But I'll be honest, as far as them being owned on the mouse, I'm kind of amazed at how they're handling the Alien and Predator series. They're very much like if they were coming out from Dark Horse, I wouldn't be surprised, as far as what I've read.
I mean, I think the expectation there is that those products, those what's the word I want to use? Not product.
Properties.
Those properties are already an R-rated venture, so it's like for the most part, it's already established that there's going to be adult content in those books. So like that's like a no-brainer, right? Same thing with why Deadpool 3 is going to have an R rating, because that's already established that's the ball game that they're playing with that character. I think with anything else, for the most part, unless it's like clearly labeled that it's for mature readers, like they're not going to go into that. Like they're not going to, I mean, they are doing Spider-Man Reign 2, which that was pretty adult. But in a main Spider-Man title, we're not going to see his spider friend. It's just not going to happen.
I'll tell you, why do you think it is that let's kind of lean into something, because they're putting out what you would call more heavy content with the Alien and Predator. Why do you think it is within specifically American comics in America there is more akin to let violence go than anything sexual? Because, like, look, I know there are Batman books that are fairly bloody. I mean, we'll go to cut to the classic The Killing Joke, where he's beating in Robin's head and all this, but no one really batted much of an eye. I mean, they were like, I can't believe you killed Robin like that. But it didn't get the reaction that Batman's Wang did. Why do you think it is that the sexuality part of it is so, that's bad, and you get a fucking finger wagged at your face, but you can cave a kid's head in by a psycho clown, and that's not terrible.
I think we're just so desensitized to violence. I mean, look at the popularity of a show like Jackass, right? Like that whole show is like, to be clear, it's mostly self-inflicted violence, but it's still violence, right? Like they're still like maiming themselves for our enjoyment. It's the like a TMZ where we're seeing live footage of like fist fights break out. It's we're just so used to that, right? Whereas with stuff of a sexual nature, it was always hidden behind something else, right? Like HBO, it was always, number one, like you had to pay for it, and number two, like if you wanted to see stuff of a riskier nature, you had to stay up late. Adult magazines are always hidden behind something else. Like we're very prude people with that sort of thing. I mean, go to Europe and like nudity and shit like that is everywhere, right? Like they don't care. They're very proud of that stuff. It's commonplace. But here, like we're not cool with that. We're like nope. Like keep your privates to yourself. But a beheading, we'll show that on national TV. Who cares? Well, just because we're so used to and desensitized by violence that it's a free for all.
It makes me wonder if it's the fact that we don't have free healthcare. I love your wish, man. Free healthcare for all. Yeah, I'm totally down with that. Because if you look at a lot of the countries that have free healthcare from their government, they're not as tight ass with sexuality, but they're a bit more like, hey, let's not get so bloody over here. You know what I mean? So you think it's something to do with appreciating the human form and health, and that's why we're like, well, fuck it, and they're not?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're like, hey, like, healthcare is so expensive, most people can barely afford it, so let's glorify violence so that we inspire people to do violence. thereby putting them in the hospital, what they can't afford, and then they'll go into poverty, and we'll just keep perpetuating this awful cycle of healthcare being super expensive.
Jesus,
That's my conspiracy theory for the day.
This escalated quickly, Matt. It really, really did. God fucking damn, man. Jesus Christ, dude.
I like to keep it spicy, dude.
That was kind of depressing, to be real honest.
And I've been holding back. I can go further. No, I'm just kidding.
This is the questionnaire, bro. I am the unknown factor. You don't gotta hold back anything, but please don't expose your wang, as this is on video. And I
no nudity, man.
Yeah,
we're not cool with that as a country.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to like smack yourself in the side of the head with some giant hand that makes a big smoke thing or something, a la Jackass. I mean, I'm sure this video would get tons of views doing that. Just don't like pull your butt cheeks apart, okay?
Gross.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Where's this interview going? I don't even know. I do know. Can I ask, man, why a fan of Batman?
Why Batman? Pretty simple. He's an ordinary man surrounded by gods.
He's a sociopath who needs to go to therapy.
That's a theory. I think he was unfortunately exposed to probably one of the most traumatic events any human being could possibly be exposed to. And unfortunately, instead of going to therapy, he decided to become a vigilante. Do I think that's healthy? No. Do I think it's cool? Yes. And I think, I think he's just the most complex character, right? Like, I think, that event has scarred him so much. He's just like trying to make sure that no one else has to feel that pain that he felt. That he will go to any length possible to do that.
Okay, now you're saying that Batman is the most complex superhero?
One of.
Okay, because my response, and I mean technically he's been a villain, an anti-hero, and a hero, would be Wade Wilson.
I mean, similar kind of dude, right? Like he unfortunately was terminally ill.
He doesn't. He didn't have a rich family and wasn't just gifted money right off the bat. He actually had to do some. I mean, there was a time in the comics he was pretty rich, but that was a whole storyline, and then he ended up losing it. And y'all can go do research into all that. That's a whole fucking story arc of like 2 years worth of Deadpool comics, perhaps more, where he actually was leading the Avengers. But no, he wasn't just always a rich asshole. I don't like the wealthy man. I think it might be because I live in America. You got Elon Musk ruining Twitter. It's not X. God damn it, Matt. All right.
It is on my phone, man. That's
I don't give a shit what the phone says. If I got to type in Twitter on the web browser, it's fucking Twitter. He can change the goddamn app all he wants. All right, but he can't change the fucking website. Until he changes the website, it's fucking Twitter. I don't give a shit what that rich asshole wants to do. He needs to shoot himself and fucking Jeffrey Bezos, and they just go to space and fucking stay there and do whatever the fuck they want. All right, fuck off. Leave us alone. My rant threw me off.
You were saying how Deadpool is similar to that.
No. Like I said, like Bruce just always had this exorbitant amount of money. And if his main concern was in Gotham, let's be real honest, man, he could have fixed Gotham.
Sure. I mean, who said he wasn't, other than the criminal element? I mean, that his money had to go to infrastructure. Like, I'm sure Wayne Enterprises was bankrolling a lot more than, trying to keep the Joker in Arkham Asylum.
Well, firstly, they ain't doing a very damn good job at keeping the Joker at Arkham. I don't remember. We've had this conversation with past creators. Like, look, why don't you upgrade the asylum you're keeping this motherfucker in? Get some better security, a better setup of the cells. Because obviously the shit you put him in 20, 30, 100 times, whatever, ain't cutting it. All right?
I mean, is that Batman's fault, or is
No, it's
that
Bruce.
the Joker is that smart that he'll get out of whatever it is that he's put into?
No, it's Bruce Wayne's fault because all you got to do is reform the Riddler somehow and make it to where he's okay mentally, and then you'd be like, "Look, run this institution over here. Don't be an asshole about it. We're gonna make sure you and your family and everybody are well taken care of. Make sure these fucking lunatics don't get out of their cages."
But then, without his rogues gallery, what is Batman? Who is Batman?
A billionaire who fixed the city, which isn't a good comic book, but God, wouldn't it?
There you go. You
Yeah.
just answered your own
Look,
question.
there's the thing. Look, it makes Bruce Wayne a billionaire who actually went and fixed the city that he lived in. Which again, it's a terrible comic. It is. It's a terrible. I don't think you could make that a good and entertaining comic. But you know what it would be? A fucking great real world story.
I mean, so is the implication in The Dark Knight Returns that was post Batman, right? Like, did he solve all of Gotham's problems? But listen, hold on, I'm not done. But then they resurfaced because they just can't, that city will just never not be under siege by supervillains or by criminals. Like, it's like everything is cyclical, right? So like Gotham City went through a period of of no crime or no super crime, and he was done. He hung up the cape and cowl. He was done. He was ready to call it a life, and then was like, it's one of my favorite lines from that book when he's like racing that car in the beginning, and he's like, I could crash this and die, and it would be a good death. But then he says, not good enough, and he veers back off onto the track and finishes the race. He was driven by that purpose of being Batman, right? So he returns as Batman, but then the city, just like resets, right? It's like he pushed a reset button and everything comes back. So he's like stuck perpetually as being Batman. But there was a period of time where he was done, but then shit started to bubble up, and then he became Batman again, and he decided, like, this is how I'm not going to end my life as Bruce Wayne. I'm going to end my life as Batman. So is that Bruce Wayne's fault that he did all that stuff that we're talking about? He solved all that, the problems of Gotham City. He made Gotham City into the idyllic city, but all this stuff just resurfaced again and came back again, and he was forced to come back to protect that city again.
You're making me dig into my brain. It's been a really long time since I've read The Dark Knight. I'll be real honest. It's from Frank Miller. It's been a fucking while since I've read that book. I can't remember a lot of specifics. I'll be honest, man. When it comes to Marvel and DC, I was never a big DC guy, and the two characters that I always found the most off-putting within DC are their two biggest fucking characters. There's just something about them. I did not like them in any way, shape, or form. I can think of some stories where there were some certain writers that worked with those characters, but overall, the characters in themselves, I'm like, they weren't interesting characters. You know what I mean? And that has to do a lot with, like, if you look at the characters in this, you discuss this throughout the show, that really interest me. They tend to be characters that were put in really screwy situations, then given something they really didn't want, and then ended up trying to be like, well, fine, I'm going to be the good guy, though. Except Evil Ernie. Evil Ernie took a while to get to the point where he was finally going to be nice. For a while, he was just like, look, you humans, oh no, you can all go to hell and meet the chick that I want to be my wife. And that's all I care about right now. That's all I'm going to send you to. He had a little bit more of a mental issue. I'll be real honest, but if you know the true backstory of Evil Ernie, I think it's fair that that dude wasn't cool with any of the, just humans. But besides that, like Deadpool, Erica Slaughter from current comics, I think is a great example of that. Uh, See, it's just I don't know, man. I mean, that whole universe, and then if you look at Gotham, I will say though, I think Gotham technically would be a better city to live in than Metropolis, based on the fact that at least in Gotham, you only have some psycho clown maybe shooting up and blowing a few things up. In Metropolis, you got some giant oversized asshole or monster or something dropping in and leveling 2 or 3 buildings. So that's a plus. But to that end, I'm just curious, Matt, why the hell would you want to live in the Marvel universe?
Um,
And wait, let me clear. When you said Marvel, do you want to live in New York City? Marvel
yeah,
universe?
yep.
You're out of your
Um,
fucking mind, man.
I think that's just because, yeah, I agree. Um, New York City is like the ground zero for the Marvel universe. It's like where everything centers. Every single thing is centers around New York. Every single thing. I mean, with the exception of a small handful of characters, most of the Marvel universe is centered around New York City. So yeah, it would be a fucking nightmare. But how cool? How cool would it be to live in New York City in like a high-rise apartment? Look out your window. Oh shit, there goes Spider-Man. Well, up the X-Men are in Times Square fighting a Sentinel. Like, how cool would that be? Um, to just be in that, like, you would be used to it, right? It's like the same way we got used to COVID. It's the same way we got used to life post 9/11. You would be used to that. You would know what to do. Like, oh, like there's an alert on the TV. Fucking the Juggernaut is like running through Midtown. Like, we got to get out of here. Like, you would get we would be used to it. We'd be desensitized, right? We'd be the same way we're desensitized to violence. We would be desensitized to supervillains to the point where we go, it's just another day. Like, it's another Tuesday. I gotta go, like, I gotta go drive to Long Island to go stay with my grandparents because fucking Venom came to town and is infecting all of New York City with symbiote. Like, we would get used to it. It would just be so much more interesting.
Oh my god. The way that you conveyed the point of why I is one understandable in the fact that you're right after it'd been that way so long. I mean, if it'd been since like if since Marvel had been around, that had just been New York and that had been our world, it would be a oh shit, man! Look, this dude's fucking showing up to eat the planet again. Well, with Reed's there, it's okay. He'll deal with him, but I wouldn't be in this vicinity because that's where the guy's feet are coming down. So you want to make sure you're evacuated. Or yeah, that would be. I don't know if I mean it would be definitely interesting, but I don't know that I would want to endure it because that's one thing that most comics, as far as the big two, really leave out are the non-main character casualties, the casualties that happen when
Sure.
yeah, like they don't address, like I mean they did that in the Marvel films where that what started the Civil War, and old girl walks up to Iron Man talking about you know
Yeah,
shoving
her
yeah
son
like
was a casualty in
yeah.
Sokovia.
Yeah, in Sokovia. So they do show that in the Marvel films, but I can't think of where they've ever really done that in the comics that often, except in the case of the Civil War storyline, where they had the whole Registration Act enacted, where what I can't remember character's name that like blew the hell up?
Oh, it was like, was it Speedball?
No,
I
no,
think it
no.
was like one of those ancillary
Speedball was
characters.
one of the. Speedball was the guy that couldn't stop him and put him into the bus, and then he went and just blew up a whole school bus. But it was Speedball that like had the villain in his hands. I remember that much, and then I know Wolverine's the dude that actually tracked him down and was like, "Look, man, we're gonna have a conversation." It wasn't a pleasant one for that individual. But yeah, the name of the villain that went off that like went and exploded very much escapes me. I'm sure someone watching is like, "It was this, you dumbass." Sorry, I ain't read Civil War in a while either. But short of that, I mean, you really don't hear about non-main characters, man. I don't think, and I think if you were just a citizen in New York in the Marvel Universe, look, the obituaries every day would suck, is all I'm gonna say. All right.
I mean, aside from the death toll, think about the cost of insurance, car insurance, home insurance. Like I was born and raised on Long Island, so if you live close to the water, you have to have flood insurance. Like, could you imagine living in Midtown Manhattan? You'd have to have superhero insurance. Like, hey, if you if you like that car, like, you better have it insured in case, the Hulk decides to freak out and throw your car at somebody. Like, insurance rates are probably out of control. But it would be cool again, and we would be used to it. Like, that's my whole point. Is like, it would if I woke up tomorrow in the Marvel universe, like, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do. But if I grew up in the Marvel universe, this wouldn't even be a conversation because we'd be so used to it.
But wait, so I mean, come on, because you've read Marvel comics for a while, I assume.
Sure.
Which I mean, you know a good deal. So if you woke up in the Marvel universe, there isn't something you'd be like, "Oh, I've got to go."
Well, this is assuming if I woke up in the Marvel universe and I didn't know, like, comics weren't a thing. Like, if I just like if all of a sudden superheroes appeared, like, comics never existed, and you woke up one day and there's superheroes, like, I wouldn't know what to do. But again, as a society, we would adjust to that the same way we adjusted to post 9/11 and COVID. Like, we would just figure it out.
So let me ask you. Let's get a little just question from you then. If you woke
Sure.
up in the Marvel universe tomorrow with the knowledge that you have, what would you do?
That's a good question. What would I do? I would probably go straight to the city. Go straight to the city, see what's going on. Like, try to see Spider-Man. Like, I don't understand how, like, in the comics, like, you wouldn't even have to pay. I mean, I know he doesn't do this anymore, but you would have to pay Peter Parker shit to take pictures of Spider-Man, because people would be taking pictures of Spider-Man like it was going out of style. Like, the Bugle would, like, J. Jonah Jameson would never have to ask a single soul for pictures of Spider-Man, because he would just be getting inundated with pictures of Spider-Man from the general public. That's all I would do is I would be like, oh, let's see if Spider-Man's going to swing over. Let me have my camera ready.
See, but you have to keep in mind. I mean, when that character was created, we didn't all carry.
I know there wasn't like cell phones and stuff.
Yeah, so that definitely would change the game as far as like. It's funny to think that if Spider-Man was created today, they couldn't make him taking pictures of himself his job, because they'd be like, he'd walk in. I got some really good photos. He's like, dude, I've got 1,000 of them.
You and fucking 200 assholes on Facebook also have great pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah. Like, really, you have any idea how many times I get these sent to my desk?
Yeah,
Go
how many
whatever
tweets?
Your name is.
How many tweets I'm tagged in with pictures of Spider-Man? Like, get out of here.
That would be fairly comical, but I don't think that's the right answer, man. If you wake up in the Marvel universe, what you should do is go get yourself exposed to the Terrigen Mist.
Terrigen Mist or gamma radiation. Let me go let's go sneak into a military base.
Like, to hell with this, if I'm going to live here.
But here's the problem with that is that I feel like I'm armed with the knowledge of knowing that the people that seek out the powers that they didn't that didn't come upon them accidentally are the ones that get affected by it negatively, right? They become either something disgusting or they just die. Like the people in the Marvel universe that like come upon their powers unwillingly or accidentally are the ones that benefit from it the most. So I don't think I would seek out the Terrigen Mists or gamma radiation because I think I would be afraid that I would become something worse.
I don't think I'd go for the gamma. I think that's a bit. I mean, that's yeah. No, I would try the Terrigen Mist though, because I'm like, I'll fit in with these fucking humans. Well, let's see if this works. Yeah,
but then but again, wouldn't you be afraid of the possibility that you would end up like, I don't know, like a amorphous blob that can like change into a like a pen or something like innocuous, not like something cool, like you could shoot fire from your fucking eyes. Like, I would be worried that I would get some shitty, useless power, or like I would become some deformed mass that like I wouldn't be able to live my life as a normal human being.
Well, I think it's very rare that in the Inhumans, their powers don't have a higher purpose within the Inhumans. If you really think about it, like that said, I mean, as far as like if you're looking at mutants, there are mutants with fucking terrible powers that I wouldn't want anything to do with. If you look at the Inhumans, pretty much all of them have powers that have a substance behind them in some way, shape, or form that would be helpful. Now, not to say that some of them don't deform you terribly, because that's just the cost of that, in my opinion. But no, with the Terrigen Mist, I'd be fine. I don't think there's a whole lot else in the Marvel Universe I would expose myself to trying to get powers, because God knows, unless like I knew Nick Fury and could be like, look, bro, you think I'd be a good super soldier? And he's like, yeah. I'd be like, well, fuck it then, because I know you've got the proper mixture. But besides that, or exposing myself to the Terrigen Mist, I think I'd be pretty good as far as just, well, I guess I'll just try and not get crushed by some giant-ass foot someday.
I think you're also like assuming that you're going to be able to stroll into S.H.I.E.L.D. and be like, "Hey, Nick Fury."
No.
Like,
I said if I knew Nick Fury.
Got it.
I said because I know I ain't just walking into S.H.I.E.L.D. and being like, hey, no. I said like if I knew Nick Fury for some reason in that universe and he looked at me and was like, fuck it, dude. Yeah, I think you'd be a good one. And I'd be like, well, fuck it, fine. But I mean, that's a whole thing of, you ain't just going to be able to walk up to him like that. And the time it would take to establish that relationship as far as to where Fury was cool with you like that. It'd be fucking wild. Yeah, it's gonna.
Yeah, it would be cool. If the catch was I had unfettered access to whatever, again, the Terrigen Mist, gamma radiation, super soldier serum, whatever, then yeah, like that would make that a lot more interesting. But if I'm just a regular dude in the Marvel universe, like I'm with prior knowledge of the Marvel universe, I would want to I would want to see, like, I'd want to see them in live action. I would want to see a superhero one way or the other.
Yeah.
And maybe like try to join S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Or like, like be involved in that arena one way or the other.
I don't want to join S.H.I.E.L.D. Why the hell? Dude, you've got a death wish, Matt. That's the conclusion I've come to. If you show up...
I mean, you're not wrong.
If you show up in the Marvel Universe, your thoughts ostensibly is like, what can I do that's going to kill me really quickly? Because everything you say, like, I say the Terrigen Mist specifically because I think if you could be like, hey, man, I think I might be inhuman. And, I mean, they could probably test and see if you were... I'm pretty sure they can test to see if you're inhuman before they expose you. So they wouldn't even have to expose you to know that if you were a human or not. So they'd be able to be like, well, fuck, dude, you are. Come with us, and you get adopted into a society where, unless there's some stupid-ass war where someone suddenly has all the Inhumans and a problem with them, you're going to be all right because you got this dude who's your king that can go, hey, and smoke everyone, right?
Yeah.
Just with a word. So at least you would have the benefit of being in that kingdom. But I will say, like, if you just had unfettered access, say you did have unfettered access, like you got to the MCU, what power would you take out of the MCU?
Probably a super soldier serum, like you said. To be the idealized man that like barely he like ages at a crawl, and just to have all those abilities would be pretty cool. I mean, like he of all the superheroes, like Cap was the one that what was the line in I forget the exact line in the movie, but like essentially like he was always Steve Rogers, right? He was always the hero. Like it was just like he just was given powers. Like he was always a good man. He just got powers, and then like he was still himself. Like but he just had the abilities that he didn't have previously. Like where previously he was like the meek guy, but he was still the meek guy that threw himself on a grenade that he thought was live. He still crawled over the barbed wire, right? Like, he's the one like that didn't become anything different other than just a guy with powers. So yeah, I would go for like a super soldier serum. I wouldn't want to be like mutants are still to this day like treated like third class citizens. So I wouldn't want like a mutant power. I wouldn't want something as unwieldy as like the Hulk. Like I wouldn't want something like that. I would just want to be a similar version of myself, but with abilities.
Man, and I don't know, maybe it's the fact that when I was younger, this was definitely my favorite character, which probably explains why Deadpool's my favorite character now. Now that I think about it, that's kind of funny. But no, just let the radioactive spider bite me. Cause then if you train yourself on top of that, like you could whoop Captain America's ass. You know?
Same sort of deal with Pete, right? Like he
Real
was
similar.
he was still he was a meek kid, but he's still a good kid. He was, raised by good people. He just got powers. And like, I think the thing with the X-Men, right, the parallel to racism is that like a lot of them looked differently than humans, right? Like I think that's where we're kind of going with this is that we wouldn't want to look different, right? We wouldn't want to be treated differently. And I think that's a general feeling in life, right? Like we don't want to be treated differently than we are. We want to be treated like normal human beings, and it's tough when you're in that situation where you're not treated like a normal human being.
I've never been treated like a normal fucking human being. Why do you think I was dubbed the unknown factor? I didn't name myself that goddamn shit. I would step into the Terrigen Mist if they told me I was the human. No fucking hesitation whatsoever. But I know that's, not normal. But I've come to the
No,
conclusion.
but think about how much easier your life would be if you were just like treated like a normal human being. Like it's tough. Like yes, it's that type of I don't want to say adversity because I feel like that's too strong of a word, but like essentially like that type of adversity will inform the type of person that you are one way or the other, right? But like remove that from your life and just think about how much different your life would be if it's like you didn't feel like you had to be, you know, you had to be like a different version of yourself to kind of prove yourself as better than what people think you are, right? Based on whatever. Like for a mutant, like based on, if they have to constantly fight with the perception that they're different because they look different, right? So they have to always be. They're always. I feel like the X-Men are constantly on like this fucking never-ending PR journey where they're like, no, we're good people. Like, yes, we look different, but we're saving people constantly. We're superheroes. Like, we're not these outcasts that you guys think that we are because we look different than you, or we have abilities that are different than you. Like, we're good. We're good people doing good things. Like, remove that from them. like, and I'm sure their lives would be so much easier if they were able to like go out in public and just act as normal human beings, but they're not, right? So
I mean,
like,
that's true. I think that makes for a more interesting story in time, so though, bro. Because if we were all the same, life would be
I
exceptionally.
agree. I agree.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think again, like life is beautiful because we are all different, and variety is the spice of life, as they say. I'm just saying from a standpoint of, you know, life is already hard. Like, you know, in a world that exists currently where people that look different are treated different, if we could remove that for any way, shape, or form, like it would be easier.
I mean,
That's all I need.
that's very, very true, man. I'll tell you what we haven't done is we haven't gotten into much of your work, but I will let everyone out there know there are links in the description to check out everything Matthew does. But you say you should have you ain't got nothing running right now, but you should have Holiday Spirits Volume 3 coming up, man. Can I get a taste of what that's about?
Sure. I don't know. It might not be official that I'm involved, but I can confirm I am involved. Holiday Spirits Volume 3 is just a collection of horror-themed holiday stories, with a bunch of different creators. I'm one of them. My buddy Pete Collins, who I worked on Bardic Verses with, is my artist. And yeah, I just wrote a fun story about a kid with no family goes home with her college roommate, and her family's up to no good. It's a rich family. During the holidays, it's not a good time, but it's
Up
interesting. It's gonna be fun. I'm
to
excited.
no good.
Yeah, the rich families during the holidays, not fun. And for this college age girl, this is not the place for her to be.
All right, then make sure
Yeah.
y'all check that out. That'll be coming out soon. Like I said, there's all kinds of links in the description to where you can look into everything Matt does. I mean, he's got one easy link that I can honestly put that'll click you to a link that'll make you go to everything, which I appreciate, bro. I might put a couple others there, at least, in case you want to, follow him on Twitter or Threads or Blue Sky or Instagram or tiddly fiddly winks or fucking whatever the else shit is gonna happen by the time this shit comes out, for the love of God, right? As well as, like I said, you can check out his pre-show questionnaire over on the Patreon. There's a link in the description to that, too, because we haven't honestly got into a whole lot of it, I'll be real honest, but I got to get into a few things, man, because I want to say, firstly, Matt, it's been a pleasure and a hell of a conversation, man. It always has. I'm going to definitely want to bring you on for that PanCon that we were discussing at the beginning of the show that
Please.
wasn't part of the episode, that I think will be very, very, very intriguing, right? But if y'all out there have enjoyed this conversation with Matt Summo and myself, what I want you to do, this is why I hate that I didn't get this shit printed out. It makes this part way more difficult, right? Is send him a Hydra. Firstly, make sure the Hydra's chill. Give it some CBD, maybe a little bit of Jack, smoke some weed with it, and then I want you to send it his way, right? All nice and chill, right? With a Dragon Zord from Power Rangers, just to gift to him. Again, make sure the Hydra's not a fucking dick, right? All right. Now, if for some reason this conversation has annoyed you and you're like, man, screw all of Matt's opinions. I don't know why he wants to go live in the Marvel Universe. That is the craziest shit I ever heard, right? I want you to send him the gentleman from the Buffy episode Hush. You mean Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's funny. We just had Skylar Patridge on not too long ago. She did a
Love
bit of work
Skylar.
on that.
Skylar's one of
Yeah.
my favorite people in
Yeah.
comics. Hell of an artist. She, really quick aside, she did a pinup for me for the Bardic Verses. Incredible piece of work. Again, I love her dearly. I think she's awesome. And yeah, she'll be in comics forever. She's incredible. So yeah, shout out Skylar. Love her.
Well, Bat, if y'all know one another, we just might have to plan a PanCon with at least, I mean, it'll be more than just the two of you, because three's a bitch to edit. I need an even number, but that's besides the point, right? And shout out to Skylar. Go check out her past PanCon, or her past quest. She was a pleasure to have on the show, right? So, the gentleman from the Buffy episode Hush, I don't know what the fuck that.
Let me tell you something. If you watch any episode of Buffy, make it that one. I mean, they got nominated for an Emmy for that episode. It's very. I mean, the elevator pitch for that episode is everyone loses the ability to talk. So it's mostly a silent episode, but it's very good. And the creatures in that episode are terrifying.
I don't want to lose the ability to talk. I rub my mouth too much for that, bro.
I was going to say you'll lose your bread and butter if you lose your ability to talk.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Right. So I wanted to be that. I wanted to, man, like, goddamn, this is why I needed this fucking shit printed out, and it annoys the shit out of me that it's not, because I can't find the next part that I'm looking for, because it's just, hey, there you go. I assume you mean hard-boiled egg.
Remind me of that question. Was it the worst?
Food that you can't stand the smell of.
Oh, hard-boiled eggs. Yeah, did I just say eggs in general?
No, you just said hard-boiled.
Oh, yeah, I meant to say hard-boiled egg.
All right. So what you do is
worst smelling food. I don't understand. First off, I'm a texture person, and that like has the worst texture on top of it smelling like armpits. I don't understand why people eat it. I'll never understand it. It smells terrible. It smells like armpits and farts. And
so if y'all have not enjoyed this interview, what I want you to do is I want you to take that gentleman from the Hush episode, those monsters from that episode of Buffy, and then I want you to just smother them in hard-boiled eggs
and a nightmare.
Send them all Matt's way. So he won't even be able to scream about the torture that he's having to endure. It's kind of mean, Matt. Sorry.
It's all right.
But, that's only if you didn't enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, like I said, send him a Kraken. Presenting him with a Dragonzord from the Power Rangers, right? As well as click all the links in the description. Make sure you check everything out. Like, subscribe, hit that share button, all that goodness. Make sure you go check out all of Matt's work, what he's put out, what he's got coming up, because it's a bardic verse. And also, give it that thumbs up, and have a good night, y'all. Oh, and get your fucking comic on. Yeah.
Ready?
This is Heather Anto.
Hey, what's up? This is Alex Cormack.
Hey, this is Rich Dueck.
I'm Sebastian Piris.
Hey, this is Wells Thompson.
Oy vey. Yeah, I am Dalton. I'm Dalton Shannon.
If you read comics, I've probably worked on them.
I'm the illustrator on Breath of Shadows, Road of Bones, Sea of Sorrows, Crimson Cage, Sink, Weed Magic, a zillion other books, Kill and Hope, and the upcoming The Devil That Wears Your Face and Drive Like Hell.
You can check me out at rdueck.com.
Working on Exorcist Never Die with Steve Orlando and Carlos Manuel from Mad Cave.
Writer of Mechaton, available now.
I'm a co-writer of Mechaton as well.
It's on the QUESTionnaire with new episodes every week. It's the best.
Make sure you check out the QUESTionnaire.
Do it.
I hope you check out the QUESTionnaire. There are new episodes every week.
Whenever it drops.
At all of your favorite podcast solutions.
Check it out. It's the best.
Make sure you watch the QUESTionnaire. New episodes every week.
This will disgrace any other of your favorite movies.
I'll do it. I'll do it too. I'm coming after X-Men.